Hi, I'm Mr. eTutor, your mystery tutor here at mysterytutor.com, and welcome to video module 7-3. In this module, I'd like to discuss the major difference between two types of writing multiple choice question. The first type of question is known as the improving sentences type, and the second type is the identifying sentence errors type. It's really crucial to understand the difference between these two question types, so listen up. You see, a lot of students go through the entire writing multiple choice section with the same mindset, no matter what type of question they're looking at. And this always leads to difficulties and missed answers. Most students go through all of these questions, asking themselves for each question, what do I think would sound the best in this sentence? There are two things wrong with that. First of all, we're not interested in what we, as individual test takers, think sounds the best. We're only interested in what the College Board thinks sounds the best because the College Board makes the rules when it comes to the SAT. Secondly, not every writing multiple choice question is concerned with creating the best possible version of a sentence. The identifying sentence error questions, for example, are only concerned with creating sentences that are grammatically acceptable, not sentences that are as stylistically attractive as they can possibly be. And this is the major difference between improving sentences questions and identifying sentence error questions. For shorthand, I'll refer to the first questions as IS questions and the second questions as ISE questions. Let's start by talking about the ISE questions, even though they come second in the large writing multiple choice section. In an ISE question, you're presented with one version of a sentence and several phrases of that sentence are underlined. Your job is to pick the phrase that has the error if there is one, or to pick the choice E if there is no error in the sentence. Most students do poorly on these questions because they try to look for any way that they might improve the sentence. In other words, they choose as the correct answer choice any phrase that they think could possibly be made to sound better. But our goal with ISE questions is not to create the best sounding version of the sentence. Instead, with ISE questions, we're only concerned with grammar. The only thing we're allowed to wonder about with any particular phrase in an ISE question is whether it is grammatically acceptable at all. In other words, we're not allowed to ask ourselves if it could possibly sound better. We're only allowed to ask ourselves if it's okay at all the way it is. If it is okay, then we're not looking at the correct answer. If there is something wrong with it, something that actually breaks a grammatical rule instead of just sounding bad to us, then that's the correct answer choice for that particular question. So remember, with the ISE questions, it's all about grammar. It's all about satisfying a bare minimum standard and not creating the best possible sounding version of a sentence. For the IS questions, though, it's a completely different story. Those questions are the ones where you've got one sentence in the question prompt and then 5 different versions of a portion of that sentence for the answer choices. With those questions, we're not only concerned with grammar. We don't just want to pick the answer choice that has the best grammar. We also want to pick the answer choice that sounds the best. Many times with an IS question, more than one answer choice is grammatically correct, but our job is still to figure out which version of the sentence the College Board thinks is the most stylistically desirable. Do you see the difference? In the ISE questions, all we care about is not breaking the rules. In the IS questions, what we care about is creating the best possible sentence. So remember, when you approach these two different types of questions, you are applying two different types of standards, and they require two different types of approaches. We only care about making things sound pretty in the IS part. In the ISE part, we only care about following the rules. It's important to keep those two things straight. You'd be surprised how many test takers and tutors never appreciate the difference between the two things. Remember, if you approach the questions the way they're actually written, it's easier than you think.